So I'd like to introduce you to the founder of SI, Nicholas Henderson,
Thank you.
UK.
Thank you, Raj. I'm based out of the UK and I've been working in education in India for the past 10, 12 years. And I have a company called Essai Education. And maybe some of you, maybe I've even interacted with some people on this call, I'm not sure. And what we do is we guide people in the kind of step-by-step process to working to, realistically target admission into the best universities in the world. So I'm really glad that we've organized this. I really hope you guys have questions and let's do it. Okay. So, if you want to ask about research papers, ask about Donald Trump, ask about visas, ask about whatever you want. Let's do it.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. Jova, over to you. So if I'm not mistaken, you're also based out of UK right
I'm
now?
also based out of the UK. I feel like my journey has been Nick's journey, but like 5 years behind him, and I keep trying to catch up. So Nick went to Harvard for undergrad. I was at Harvard as well, class of 2017. I then did a quick detour into grad school. I did a master's and a PhD at Oxford in international development. And then 5 years ago, started Lumiere, an education company that does kind of project-based learning experiences for students, the biggest program, which is a research program. So this was, I think, Nick, about 5 years after you guys, or maybe 10 years after you guys started. How did you end up working in education, and what was that journey like for you?
Just lucky, I guess. I graduated from Harvard in 2006, and so I'm like 10 years, more than 10 years older than you boys. And I just landed up at a school in the UK. I was interested in education. I got a UK passport. There was something that was some like sort of quite small fellowship thing. And I just discovered, and I was quite interested in education and I wanted to see what it was all about. So, I just kind of started and I really enjoyed it. And then immediately I realized that people in different countries didn't have the first understanding of the American system. All of the teachers at the school had been to Oxford and Cambridge. They didn't even think Princeton was good. They didn't even think Harvard was good. They'd never heard of it, basically, really, quite literally. And so then I started just kind of being the go-to guy, and I sort of made a little SAT coaching program. And then it got a bit better and a bit better. And then I approached Pearson and kind of managed to flog a textbook to them. And so I wrote with my twin brother, who's also ex-Harvard, we wrote the Pearson's Guide to the SAT in 2011. And then, yeah, I thought, wow, well, maybe this is a goer. So we kind of looked at a map and I thought India looks terrific. I don't really remember why I thought that, but I was right. And I just, honestly, I kind of booked a one-way ticket and I just went, had a rented room from an NGO and started. And so then gradually I met my business partner Fahad, and then we got into, I realized that the counseling, this thing that I never knew about, probably it existed when you were applying, but it didn't exist when I was applying. Um, I just discovered that the counseling that people were asking about, like my students in the SAT, like they were coming and saying, "Oh, can you give me a couple pointers or take a look at this internship or something?" I realized it was terrible. That, the kind of professional advice that people were being given was not coherent. It was corny. It was fake. It was ridiculous in many instances. And so it sort of led me to begin my journey kind of helping people initially just look at some application essays, edit a little bit, look at the very end. And then I realized very quickly that to make those compelling, you have to do the right stuff. You have to have that academic arc. And then thus launched basically a 10-year and counting exploration of what makes a compelling application. What is it? What is that mix of activities? And now with our data assets, we got like 20,000 admissions and rejections on file. So we're at the point where we're sort of able to kind of normalize these against SAT score, against grade academic achievement. And then you really start to see what pings, like what resonates and what are the combination of activities that, kind of seem to be things that reflect the values of these admissions offices. Um, and like academic act having a demonstrated what we call like a kind of what we call like the paper, like the planned academic profile elements. Okay, it's like you've got to have that. You need to have three things that line up in a row that justify a very simple statement like, I love economics. You need to have three things, okay? And you can't like do an economics internship. It doesn't exist, you know? And so, so then we just start thinking like, well, you can learn about economics, you can engage with it very specifically at the most specialized level in a research experience. You can do competitions and stuff. You can do social service, which demonstrates an interest in a portion of economics. And if you kind of line that stuff up just right, it works like almost every single time at the highest level of admissions. So it's it's interesting. Like we're learning a lot. We're getting better and better. We're already good, and I just love the journey. Every cycle, it's like wow, like there's always like some new learning, you know?
That's incredible. I think kind of having been in the space now for 5 years, you guys have made such a name for yourselves. And I've seen that firsthand too with the SI students that we've been lucky to work with. They're smart, they're motivated, and they've also got a great support system at SI with kind of counselors and other folks helping them think about different parts of their application, help them think about what they should be doing research in. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that looks like for you guys now. So let's say a student is interested. Let's take two students, one who's maybe in the ninth grade, one who's kind of in the 11th grade. They come to you, they want to sign up. What is the 4-year trajectory with SI look like? And what does maybe the 1.5-year trajectory with SI look like now?
Man, that's interesting. That's sort of without giving away too many trade secrets. No, well, what we would do is, well, so first, there's a standard induction. We get to know the student. We understand what they've done. I've already interacted with them before they've signed up. Um, and so there's a sort of whole process of really like drilling down, getting their whole life story. And then we have our first big planned meeting where we think about, okay, like what's the subject that we're orienting your application towards? That's key. Like nothing can happen without that. And so, given the unique flexibility of the American system, in theory, if you want to study computer science, well, that's actually really competitive. If you put that on your application, you could put math instead, get in, pick up computer science. So there's a few little tricks and things, and we sort of talking people through this, making sure everyone's comfortable. And then that happens whether you're in ninth grade or in 12th grade. It's just that in ninth grade, we know that it's going to change. We know it'll evolve. So we'd have probably 2 or 3 of those scheduled over the life cycle. And then once that happens, boom, we're ready to go. And so we kind of figure out what the big picture looks like. If the student wishes to do a summer school, if so, what's their cost sensitivity? Because there's the ones that cost this much, there's ones that cost this much, and they're equally good, which is the interesting thing. And so, we're never trying just to sort of direct people to the obvious stuff. The obvious stuff is decent, but it's not always the best. So, we kind of chalk out a big plan, what's happening in the summers, what's happening during the school year, and then we just execute that plan essentially, So a big part of this is like I said, like those planned academic profile pieces, like that really is the whole thing. For a ninth grader, we would be supporting them in a way where we just think of it as 2 very simple channels. Your whole story is going to have something to do with math, and that leads to about 20 different domains: economics, finance, computer science, the 10 to 12 engineering domains, pure chemistry, pure physics. So it's the math piece, or it'll be a language piece. And the language stuff, psychology, philosophy, politics, English, theater, whatever. And so for a ninth grade kid, we're getting them building their foundational academic skill. That's a big thing. And so again, really high quality summer schools, often online. We have discovered through our analysis that the online programs are actually slightly better for the admissions. And so, building up skills through reputed selective programs, getting people engaging in competitions, getting them engaging in school, like encouraging in them, helping a kid join that debate club, and better yet, start that debate club, And so just like lots of mentoring, very hands-on, it's very cool. And then for a kid who's older, assuming that, they have a bit of sport, they have a few activities under their belt already, yeah, we just say, okay, cool. We don't just say, great, you're going to have an eco profile. We say, okay, well, based on what you've done, based on what we think we can do, let's focus you in development economics, okay? And then we'd say within that, okay, that we call the academic specialization, the aspect. And then within that, honestly, there's so many ways that shoots out. There's so many applications to development economics. And then we would say, well, okay, for you, maybe you were in a sustainability club. We'd say, okay, cool. Let's maybe think about for you, circular economy. Why not? And actually, what I've recently done is we've gone through and we've kind of categorized all of these different themes that people engage in. And there's only really about 7 or 8 possible profiles you can have when it comes down to it. And you can see which ones score better for students of certain academic levels, for students of certain academic interests. And so, yeah, and then we just say, okay, great. Basically, we understand your story so well within a month that if you had to sit down and write your applications, you could do that. And so, and that can happen with 4 years to go. It can happen with 1 year to go. What can happen with 1 month to go, And then, yeah, we execute. And we think of these activities almost as tools driven. The research paper is the most flexible and versatile tool by far, because let's say a kid is, let's say we're saying our story has to be about the circular economy in a developing nation. Again, certain kinds of volunteering, certain kinds of internships, but it's hard to get internships. And the volunteering, it's fairly organized. We do it in a pretty organized way, but again, it doesn't always scratch that. I don't think it fully ticks the box, academically speaking. So that kind of leaves summer schools, and that kind of leaves research projects, the way to really pin down and validate and absolutely showcase your interest. And so, and that's it, and it could be on your profile could be on water science, your profile could be on solar energy, your profile could be on whatever, and so and it's funny because in the permutations of the different majors, there's about 40 of them. And then the different specializations, there's about 10 per subject. Okay, so that's about 400. And then those different kind of focus areas, like I said, there's about 8 to 10. Okay, so that therefore sort of gets you into the 4,000 or 5,000 range, realistically. So there's just and it's funny to see to see what plays and what doesn't play. For instance, if you're a high achieving kid who wants to do STEM or computer science, you basically have 2 ways to showcase that interest, either by saying you want to investigate something that relates to health. It could be assistive robotics, or it could be whatever. I don't know, a bunch of things like biotech or wearable tech or something, or sustainability. Be again, relating to materials, or relating to solar energy, relating to water health, relating to whatever. It's this, sustainability works like this, health works like this. It's crazy to see these patterns. It's really interesting. So any future engineering applicants out there, sustainability, it's a freebie. So yeah, and that's it. And then it's just make the plan, execute the plan, and my counselors do a terrific job of that. Our account managers are awesome. They're super hands-on. They love doing this stuff.
That's amazing. I think I kind of stumbled through high school. My school didn't even have a guidance counselor, let alone me going with having a private guidance counselor. And it worked out for me. I lucked out. I was really interested in debate, so I kept doing that. I got to the national level.
So Nick, this question is for you, basically.
Right.
What the students wanted to know prior. How can students identify the right extracurricular activities for their profile?
Oh man, that's complicated. Well, have a consultation with me. I'll tell it to them for free. But really, I would say, good question. So you first have to understand what is a profile. Number one, it is made of 10 activities. Okay, it is a set of activities, numbering 10, that spans 4 years. Okay, so that's step one. So doing a bunch of stuff in 7th and 8th grade, it's good stuff. It's good for you as a person, but unless you're going to continue that, it's not good for your profile. Typically, a good profile, a good mix of activities would be 1 or 2 service-based activities. These really need to be issue-driven, okay? Typically, a leadership activity is great if you can get it. Usually, people would have maybe 1 really good creative activity, potentially 1 competitive activity. That could be sports, doesn't have to be national level, could be it doesn't have to be any level. It just has to be something you've done over time. And then I said the balance 5 activities should be these sort of more planned academic activities, these activities which really showcase your interest in a subject in a way that, here's the hard part, in an unimpeachable way. And I think, Dhruv, a lot of people get confused about this word impeach and unimpeach just because, like, it's hard to explain. But in long story short, in India, a lot of things in people's CVs are just fabricated outright. And so you've seen it, I've seen it, everyone's seen it. And so to have activities which really just simply cannot be fabricated, like that gives them an extra value. Okay, so something like a research program with a PhD at Harvard. Okay, that PhD at Harvard is not going to say you did a good job unless you actually did. And so that means that that LOR really has extra value. Whereas like some internship, some like friend of the family or something, who knows, right? And so it's interesting because then we end up having to move very aggressively towards these like kind of activities which must be true by their very nature. They must be true. And so research programs, good. Summer schools, good. Again, they don't have to be all expensive in person. There's really high quality online programs that are quite inexpensive. Certain academic competitions, awesome. School stuff. Usually, teachers, they'll be very generous with their letters of recommendation, but they're not going to support outright fantasy. And so, school stuff. School is the single biggest stakeholder. Like, if your school, like Dhruv, I bet your school, you might well have been able to give some inputs into your LORs, but if the counselor says this is the kid, I've never met any kid who's as good as this kid. It doesn't matter what school you go to, you can get into the best Ivy Leagues you want, like really. And so having that like kind of that having that like kind of that spirit and that reputation behind you in school makes a huge difference. So long story short, service, leadership, creativity, don't underestimate that. Sports, little bit overplayed in profiles, but they're wonderfully time consuming. So you can really show you've been really busy and productive and a bunch of cool academic things. And when it comes to the academic things, there's 4 different buckets: STEM, business, humanities, and the arts. And the easiest one to get into any Ivy League is humanities by far. So.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Diksha, you like to ask your question? You could unmute yourself or you could put your question in the chat. What suits you? We could see that you've raised a hand.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for providing me with this opportunity. First of all, greetings to all the hosts present here, Dhruv sir, Rajni ma'am, and our sir.
Thank you. Did you have a question, Diksha?
Yes, sir, I sure have a question. But this question is directed towards Dhruv sir. Sir, as you said that you also attended a CBSE school when you were when you were back young and you were in Chennai, you attended a CBSE school. So, sir, which I live in Delhi and I'm also studying in a CBSE school. I want to ask you that how can I start a personal club? Like there is no particular clubs in my school which I can join, and I don't think there's even a chance to start with my own club. So, do you have any tips on how can I start like any club outside my school, or how can I persuade my teachers or the professionals in the school to open to help me open a club?
Well, don't ask Dhruv. Ask me. That's counseling.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Go for it, Dhruv.
It's a great question. I think broadly, you can try and work within your school, you can try and push your school, or you can try and work outside your school. So in terms of working within the school, I think that's pretty straightforward. You see what the process is to start a club, because even if there are no clubs currently, you could reach out to a teacher or principal and say, okay, I'm interested in starting a club. What is the process? And see if they'd be open to letting you do something. And you could bring data and information to make the case as well. You could talk about how many students are interested in it. You could talk about the value of the club. You can talk about the external value of the club and talk about how this would make the school more appealing for future students that might join and so on. And so that's a way of trying to convince the school to let you do it. The second is kind of working with the school, but pushing it. And there, what you really need is an ally. All you need is one teacher who's on your side who might help you push your case. Often English teachers are quite good. I found them to be really kind and thoughtful. And so try and find an ally, like one teacher who might be on your side and help you do this. And so that could be something that works as well. Neither of those work. There are so many ways to do this outside of school as well. So you could try and start a local reading group in your neighborhood or community. You could do something online and start a Discord channel or server where you bring together students from not just your city, but all across the country and all across the world. So there's ways to do that. The final thing to say is, if you have to fight against the odds to make this happen, that is incredible and will actually serve you well in the college applications process, because you being able to explain that story and talk about how you had to fight these kinds of obstacles in getting something like this off the ground and how you persisted and pushed through despite all of that demonstrates exactly the kinds of qualities that top universities are looking for. They're looking for people that are resilient, that have a vision and ambition and make that a reality. And they will then judge you in the context of the community you come from. So this is something that people don't realize, but American universities are not judging all student applications on exactly the same level. They kind of understand to some extent what the different kinds of schools in different countries are like. And so if you are the only person from your school or your type of school that has done something like this, then even if it has not expanded to a national level, that is still incredibly impressive. Whereas if you come from an international school that has sent, 5 students a year to Ivies every year, and you've started another club, that is less impressive, and the expectations on that student would be higher. So I hope that was helpful. I know that it can be hard, but I think doing it will be totally worth it for you. And I'm excited to see how it goes. And Nick, I'll pass it to you in case I said something totally wrong there.
No, great. Also,
thank you so much, sir, for giving a precious time to answer my question. If we do have time, may I ask another question?
But Diksha, hang on. I'm going to add one thing. Tell them it's going to be free, okay? Because schools never want to spend money on clubs. And also, look at Girl Up, okay? Look at NASA, HERC, okay? And then look at Mu Alpha Theta. And these are 3 clubs. This one is a global chapter of math clubs. This one is a really cool NASA-sponsored, like a kind of very cool, like little science club, like kids do competitions, schools do competitions from all over the world. And then Girl Up is a really cool, like kind of women's empowerment club. There's chapters all over the world. So these have content that comes provided. It's already structured, okay? And then it's something really easy. I always think that the school just needs to be convinced how easy this will be. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to commit any resources. You, some motivated students, one friendly teacher, that's your pitch.
Fabulous. Diksha, maybe let's just get a few questions from the others. I see a couple of more raised hands, and then we can come back to you so that others have a chance to ask their questions too.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you.
Irwan, maybe over to you. Or Ayushman, if you want to go.
I'm here. My name is Ron. I'm from Egypt. I'm not good in English, but I will ask about what scholarships are available for Egyptian students.
Okay.
Nick, I think that's a question to you.
Goodness, yeah. Is this, Ravan, would this be for US universities?
I'm still a student in school, high school.
But was that question about scholarships for Egyptian students to US unis?
Yes, I'm not good in English, but I want to ask about a scholarship. I don't know about this.
Okay. So Raj, if you can enable the chat, I can literally list the universities that offer scholarships to international students. But look at USC. Oh, thank you. So USC, Vanderbilt, Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, UVA, Toronto, Boston Uni, Wash U St. Louis. You probably haven't heard of that one, but it's darn good. Okay, what do these have in common? They offer merit scholarships to non-US passport holders. Okay, just like you. So check out these unis, check out these scholarships. I've had people win all of these many times. Additionally, you can always file for what's called need-based financial aid. And this is something many people have in America. I had need-based financial aid. It was great. And so, and there's certain unis such as Harvard, such as Yale, such as Princeton, Dartmouth, and there's one called Amherst, and they give this they give no penalty to an application for indicating that you need financial aid. So, scholarships, it's possible. Helps to have really good grades, okay? And I would say, yeah, I know about this stuff. I get a list of literally every scholarship that's offered. I'll send it to you. Just, contact Rajni.
The one other thing to add there is I think you should also be trying to do programs in high school that are either free or have scholarship opportunities. So with Lumiere, for instance, last year, almost 10% of our students did the research program entirely for free as part of our financial aid program. That's
Awesome.
for specifically high achieving low income students. And so if your family's in financial need, you should still try applying. It is more competitive if you're applying for financial aid to the Lumiere program, but we love to work with incredibly talented students who otherwise couldn't do the program. I know I couldn't have afforded to do the program when I was in high school.
Yeah, and YYGS also has scholarships as a summer school. So very good. Anyone else?
Ayushman? If not, Gurman, do you want to go?
Yes, sir. First of all, greetings, Mr. Nicholas, Mr. Dhruv, and Rajni ma'am. I'm Gurman, and I recently transitioned from the CBSE to the IB curriculum, and I've gained a wider prospect of what universities might look for. However, one thing I'm struggling with recently is whether universities expect students to work towards a niche, one subject-oriented activities or passion projects, or do they look for multidisciplinary integration?
Gosh, good question. Well, I'll start, and Drew, if you can finish. I think, and this is the big thing that's confusing about this process, Gurman, is that US unis I think they do want to see a niche, even though the day that you're admitted, you're not stuck with whatever niche you told them you had. Okay, you can change. And so, no, they want to see a niche. Okay, and picking the right niche is based on your interests and your subjects and maybe your profile, what you've done so far, a little bit about what you can do subsequently. Like for instance, Drew, it takes like a long time to build up a strong sustainability profile. If you just start doing things in 11th grade, it doesn't look that great, whereas, so really that would be from something that you already have or you don't have. Now for you, dear, what HL subjects do you take?
I've taken a maths, physics, and computer science.
Oh, which math, if I may ask?
A high level.
AA or AI?
AA.
Oh, great. Okay. What SLs do you take?
As for India, we have English, Hindi, and Econ in the standard level.
Great. And do you want to do engineering, or are you not sure?
Yeah, I'm planning to take on aeronautical engineering.
Aeronautical engineering? Wow. Well, okay, here's what you should do. You have two options. You should either make your profile about materials science, because that has a lot to do with aeronautical engineering. Okay. It's hard for me to give you a little bit more than that. It would normally take a bit longer to explain. Or you could actually make it about satellites. There's a lot of aeronautical engineering that goes into satellites. And so satellite technology, and critically satellite imagery. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's as simple as that. I mean, how do you know what to do? You just say, I like aerospace engineering. And then someone like me, or like your teachers or your family, friends, or anyone who knows about this can say, great, okay, that's good. That is actually really good. I'd say you're more than halfway there. Coming to that decision is by far the most important part.
Awesome.
Yes.
That was a masterclass, Nick, in helping a student explore their area of interest. Simbat, did I see a hand up from a Simbat? Yeah. And then Eric will go to you.
Yes. And my question is, sorry, 1 second.
No worries. Eric, do you want to go while we wait for Simba?
Yeah, sure, no problem. First of all, thank you so much for the session. My question goes like this. So first of all, it's been a weird season for the admissions process, under the new Trump administration, especially for international students. So
Yeah.
my question goes like this. What would be the most significant change or the biggest one we should expect in this upcoming cycle, and how can we prepare ourselves better to navigate those changes? Secondly, it's about the SAT. Can you break it down for us, because it depends, maybe some of us want to do STEM or others want to do humanities. I'm guessing that the SAT, how it's going to be considered, is going to be different. So can you break it down for us? Thank you.
I'll take the SAT one. Drew, if you can take the Trump one. The SAT, it's one thing. It's one test, whether you're applying for English or engineering. It's made of 2 parts, English and math. If you're applying for engineering, yeah, you'd be expected to have a bit higher math, of course. But even if you're applying for English, you'd be expected to have quite good English scores. You should take it. It helps a lot. SAT is a democratic tool, Eric. I fundamentally believe that there's a lot of resources online. There's a lot of good tutors. Some of them are not very expensive. You can crack this test. Pretty much anyone can crack this test. Just takes different amounts of time. So yeah, study the SAT, buddy. You really should take it. It's given 8 times a year. You sign up on College Board, and prep usually takes 4 months.
Awesome. On your first question, 2 things to start. The first is, I think the value of a US college degree, especially from a top college, will continue to remain incredibly valuable despite everything that's going on. The professors of these universities are still among the best in the world. The degree that you get, if it's from a Yale or a Duke or a Berkeley, will continue to open doors no matter what happens with the administration. So I think the value of that college degree continues to be enormous. And second, this might be because I'm an optimist at heart, but I do think things will revert to the mean in the country. So Trump can't be president forever. Next year, there are midterm elections coming that will shift the issues that people care about and talk about. There's a good chance that Republicans don't retain control of the American Parliament, basically the Senate and the House next year, and that places additional checks on what Trump is able to do. There are a number of cases moving through the courts, which will get decisions from the Supreme Court on over the course of the next few months. So the best thing that you can do is to stay the course and wait to see how things pan out come December, March, kind of June of next year, and then take a call. But make sure to apply to backups as well. Don't put all your eggs in the US basket. Think about what you'll do if for some reason international student enrollment really decreases, because universities say international students are more trouble than they're worth. Let's just try and have as many domestic students as possible. Or if visa issues persist, make sure to have backups, whether that's in Europe or Asia or wherever else. And I think that's a decision that you can make closer to kind of May or June of next year based on what the situation looks like. In the worst case, you can always take a gap year. I have never heard of a person who's taken a gap year that's regretted it. I found that people who've taken gap years come into college more ready to do whatever it is they want to do, have an amazing time as well. And so that's something that you can do if you still want to give yourself a bit of time to see how things settle down and what the situation looks like before you go to the US for college. Nick?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, it remains to be seen what the universities will do. They're kind of ultimately they're the boss, but I mean, put it this way, there will almost certainly be fewer numbers of students applying. And so that means theoretically, the people who stay the course, who are just kind of smart, who diversify a bit, in theory, their chances of success go up. And as Driv said, our college, Harvard, has been around for a lot longer than the White House, put it that way. Okay. So it's not going anywhere.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Good evening.
Fabulous.
Lots of
Next,
questions.
Dhruva, you want to take
Simba.
few more questions, or you
Yeah.
feel we should?
Let's
few
take
more
two.
questions?
Let's take two more. This is fun, but then I gotta go, and then why don't we? Perhaps then we can talk about our services a bit, and then I can peel.
Sure, perfect. Janvi, you like to go ahead with your question?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hi, everyone. And yeah, I'm really interested in medicine. Especially my question is to Dhruv, sir. I am basically studying in a CBSE school, and I'm interested to apply for medicine in UK. So, but I have found that getting work experience in an hospital at my age is quite difficult. So, my question was specifically that does the work or volunteering experience need to be directly related to medicine, or it can be any type of social of community services? Because in UK there are super curricular requirements, and there is some sort of like in University of Cambridge requirement. I've heard that, I've like read that you need to work under a GP or you need to volunteer in a hospital. So finding that work experience in India, specifically at my age, because there are many restrictions for students, especially in hospitals. So how do I find those in India, especially? So my question is that.
Yeah, Nick.
Dhruv, you're getting all the best counseling questions, man.
I'm
There's some
getting all
tricky
the
ones.
counseling questions. I'm gonna maybe pass it on to
Yeah.
you, Nick, so that you can talk about kind of what UK universities expect and from there, and then I can offer some ideas for research in the space if that would be helpful.
Absolutely. So first off, good question. The UK unis, they do say they want to see some kind of work experience, but since COVID, they have relaxed exactly what they mean by this. Okay. And so I actually did this research for someone who had this exact question. Perhaps you can see my screen. Okay. The UK has 41 medical programs, and we checked every single one. And so, they don't generally actually put specific numbers to this. Now, if you look at this carefully, they might say things like, they want to see people in a caring environment, maybe working with people who have health issues. Okay. So a care, that could mean nursing home, that could mean NGO, that could mean many things. It does not actually mean clinical experience necessarily. That's number one thing. Number two thing, Fortis has some interesting online internships that do count in my experience. And my experience is informed by the fact that people have done these and I've worked with them and they've gotten into good UK unis for medicine. And you can check Apollo as well. Now, the third thing is you could just literally physically, you must have a doctor, your parents must have a doctor, there must be a doctor in your colony. Literally walk up to them and say, can I spend time? And I will do anything. Okay. You're not going to be sitting on surgeries. You'll be organizing records, maybe, if you're lucky. Okay. That's what an internship is. Okay. And so 1, 2, 3 things. Number one, don't worry. Okay. Number two, check online internships. Those do count. And number three, just literally walk to the nearest doctor's office, knock on their door and say, can I volunteer here a few hours a week? Is there anything I can do? And then congratulations, you've got an internship.
Okay, sir, because I have actually completed a Fortis internship this month only in psychology.
Hey, yeah, the psychology. Yeah, there you go. So that's all helping people. So good. You're on your way.
So, sir, just one more question.
Yeah.
If I'm allowed to, yes, sir. Sir, I was also considering whether to pursue medicine in UK or the US because I understand that their application processes and requirement differ slightly. So can you please share some of your insight that which one can be more suitable for me?
Well, the US has, in America, it's excellent to be a doctor in America because in our country, in America, doctors are millionaires. But it's very difficult to study medicine in America because there's 160.
Exactly, sir.
There's 160 US med schools. Okay. Only about 40 of them even take non-US students. That's number one thing. Most people don't know that. The percent of students that they would take would be in the 5 to 10% of their batch might be from non-US students. Average batch size is about 150. So if you're good at math, I'm sure you are, it's actually kind of a small population of people who are non-US citizens who are training as doctors in America. Now, there's an enormous number of people who are qualifying as doctors. So you could, in theory, train in India, or you could train in UK, or you could train in Europe, and then you could just take the MLE exams. It's a US medical licensing exam. Roughly equal numbers of American trained and non-American trained people take these every year, and they have very similar pass rates. The American trained are a little bit higher pass rate. It's about 90% versus 80%. So it's like you still have like a pretty good chance. And then you clear those, great, you're a doctor in America. So don't study medicine in America because it's extremely lengthy and relatively low probability, but very much you can aspire to be a practicing physician or any specialty you wish in America.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for your insights. Thank you, sir.
Of course. And all right, well, people are really asking some great questions. My wife has just given birth, so I have like 5 minutes. Yes. So.
Can I ask you?
Oh, there's one more. Oh, well, I hate
Can I
to
ask
say.
a question?
I also have a question.
We've put our email IDs in the chat, so I do think we should let Nick go be with his wife and kid. Otherwise we will never hear the end of it. So we put our email IDs in the chat. We will happy to respond to any questions that come in, or set up meetings with us or our team members, and we can go from there. But we really appreciate all of you showing up and asking such great questions.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I was not thinking this deeply about college applications or my profile or things when I was in high school. You guys are clearly far ahead of the game. You seem smart, kind of structured, thoughtful, and you're developing and understanding what your interests in the area are. So if research plays a part in that process, and I hope in this conversation, some of you have started thinking about it, even if you weren't before, we'd love to hear from some of you. We put our email IDs and website in the chat. Our programs are fully online. We match you with mentors who are at basically the top universities in the US and the UK, and they help you kind of explore that topic and write a paper that becomes an important part of your college application. So let us know if there's anything that we can help with. And Nick, I'll pass to you for the final word.
No, I think that it's been really good, excellent questions. This was particularly good, I think. And so, because it always seems a little scary if you're a kid to ask a question in front of a bunch of people you don't know. So everyone here, well done. Yeah, people who are thinking about international education, especially now, so much confusion, totally get that. So Rajni's put our information in the chat. I don't charge for consultations. I'll take a consultation anytime, day or night, with absolutely anyone. You just have to be 14 or older, okay? Now, and that's it, okay? So just I think programs like Lumiere offer an extremely high quality, virtually irreplaceable part of a successful American application, and for UK as well, very helpful. So pretty much everywhere. So what Dhruv and I are trying to do is just introduce, I guess you could say, kind of a spirit of fun, quality, experience, into the education world, which education has been kind of running the same way for like 2000 years. And so now it's like, why can't, of course we can do interesting things. So well done, everybody. And it was great.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, great. Well done. Bye.